You know, I've always felt very profoundly convinced that the unimagined life is not worth living. That's a play upon Socrates' famous statement, the unexamined life is not worth living. I mean, that covers all the philosophy, that one quotation. And my quotation, which I made up, the unimagined life is not worth living, is of major importance, because what I'm saying there is that one may, in fact, imagine one's own life. That is to say that as you're living it, you imagine things that would enhance and enrich and transmit and benefit to others and transmit to others a feeling that is very important at the moment, from moment to moment. So just think about how exciting one's life could be if one even attempted to imagine, or also reimagine as time goes by, as one remembers things, reimagine one's life. You are then operating daily the way a writer or an artist operates. I have always been very aware of myself as a storyteller, first of all, in the oral storytelling tradition of the Old South, telling stories to children, to my brothers, and to children, even briefly in a reform school, where I wasn't in the reform school, but it was in the same facility because we were waiting for a place to live, my brothers and I, when my mother was in the hospital. Anyway, the children would gather around me at night when we're supposed to be totally asleep, and crawl under the bed or under the covers with me, and I would do with them what I did with my two brothers, tell them stories based partly on movies that we had seen. I had not really read a book, a novel, all the way through until after I already had a huge stack of writings that I had done, inspired by my imagination or by movies or by something I encountered in my life. Never about my own family. I didn't understand you could do that. And when I did, that was really exciting, when I understood reading novels where writers wrote really sort of about their own lives, autobiographical fiction. And then as a teacher, I created each class as if it were a work of art, with certain features that one associates with a work of art, a beginning, a middle, and an end, a dramatic entrance, and so on. One time, when I first took on an audience or a class of 250, which was very unusual for me, I had the graduate assistant who wired up the microphone at the scene equip me with a microphone as I walked from my office to the classroom, and as I walked, I came to the outside the place just before on the dot. The class was supposed to begin, and I said, "When the students are prepared, the teacher shall appear." And then I opened the door and made my entrance. So that way and other ways, I would create every meeting as if it were a work of art. One more example that I particularly like is when I pretended to be an old guy taking a drama course, reading plays. And I sat in the back and said, "Well, I wish this God come on in here and get going. I paid good money to be here and take this course, and he's late. He's 10 minutes late. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm getting restless." And the people would turn and look, and they were all revved up and worried, and they're having different emotions in the room. And then when I walked in, I walked out, and then after about 3 or 4 minutes, I walked in, and I was the same guy, only I had more of a professional demeanor, and my voice was my regular voice. And they all remember things like that. Go to the grocery store. If I leave the grocery store without engaging somebody and making them laugh at their own expense, there was the other day, a woman who looked very sour and very mean, and she was sprawled out on the counter of as a cashier, and looking up at me and mean, and I said, "Are you going to be mean today?" And again, and she said, "I might be," and she instantly started playing the part. So it's how to set up a drama in such a way that people know I'm not really insulting them, you see. I'm often asked, kind of impertinent and arrogant from people that interview me, to ask me what is my greatest success and what is my greatest failure, as if I had a string of failures that goes along with my string of successes. And I would say my greatest success is that work which is meets the criteria of a work of art more than the others might. The good example is The Suicide's Wife, which was actually made into a movie where they changed everything into the opposite of what I'd try to create. Every word is carefully selected according to my concept of artistic style and all the other artistic elements that go into an artistic work as opposed to just telling a story. And the Time magazine reviewer said, Madden's novel reads as if honed on a grindstone. That is, every word was carefully chosen. One of my favorite writers, William Gass, once gave a 2.5-hour lecture to a room full of famous writers in which he talked, well, it was 2.5 hours, on one word. The word was and, A-N-D, from Gertrude Stein. They were spellbound, testifying to the force and power of even one word carefully placed. Conrad, his wife locked him in because he was always wanting to walk around, not finish his novels, Joseph Conrad, and bring money to the house. And so she'd lock him in, and she let him out for lunch. And she said, "Joseph, what did you do today?" He said, "I cut a word." She said, "What? You didn't? How does that bring money? Get back in there after lunch and get us some money." And she let him out, and she said, "Joseph, what did you do? What did you do this time?" He said, "I put the word back in, and it made all the difference." So I'm often asked, and every writer is asked everywhere they go, every time they give a reading, every time they sign books, give a little talk before signing books, in conversation with people that want to have a conversation with a writer. It always comes up after, do you write with a pen or a pencil, which makes us want to jab them in the hand with a pencil or a pen. They always ask, do you have writer's block? Or what do you do when you have writer's block? My answer is I never have writer's block, so I don't have to do anything about it. And the reason why I don't have writer's block is that I work from the aspects of the craft of fiction, the art of fiction, which enables me every time I sit down to go instantly into the work I'm writing where I left off the day before, because I'm trying to solve a work that has been that I'm rewriting, because anybody can do a first draft of a book, and I don't think about anything when I do the first draft, but I can instantly set to work doing at the usual speed without stopping and looking up at the ceiling and looking out the window. I don't have to even pause. Not only do I not have writer's block, I don't pause a lot. I just keep writing until I want to quit. And that's unusual as far as I know. I've written 64 books, keeping in mind, of course, that I've written quite a few textbooks for literature, each and every one of which was a work of art in its organization, its general principles, so that they were distinctly different from the other textbooks that were in play at any given time. And it's on the basis of being different that I was asked to proceed. I would like to talk about how I fell in love with my wife. Been married 68 years. She likes to say in public at any gathering of 3 or more people, and when she's on the radio being interviewed for this, that, and the other, she's very active in politics and in the feminist movement and anti-racism movement. She's often asked, how could you stay married 68 years to David Madden? I mean, I bet he's not so easy to get along with. And she says, well, he does get volatile, I'll say, not infuriated, enraged, or whatever, but volatile, fairly often. But the reason that we've been married so long is that it's easy to answer. We're both in love with the same man.